Hey there, Pubsters! Welcome back to the Apple Pub. It is Saturday, October the 10th, and sorry for being away for such a long time.
Such a long time.
Mostly due to E-Man's crappy hours of availability.
And the fact that we shot a video last week, but this guy forgot to turn on the microphone while we were shooting.
Yeah, we're hopefully going to be coming out more regularly, a video every Saturday, as well as like a little content video on every other Wednesday. So do look out for those.
Before we get into this week's news, we thought it'd be cool to go over some of the highlights of last week's video that was unreleased.
Thanks to my screw up.
Yes, and each of these news will have a link down below that expands on more information.
Yeah, so let's start with the 4K video on the 6S Plus and the 6S. There was a video mentioning the difference between the optical image stabilization and the digital image stabilization.
Keep in mind, prior it was only with images, now it's with videos. So, next story was the benefits of having 2 GB of RAM on the iPhone 6S and 6S Plus. There's a video of that down below as well.
As well as the improved water resistance on the 6S.
Yeah, and the Apple TV has a lot of remote control and gaming issues with the limitations on controllers.
Yeah, it was supposed to be more, but it seems it's limited to just 3 controllers and some other issues.
One of them being the remote itself.
Yeah. And also there were some iPhone 7 rumors that came out.
Already.
Yeah. One of them being that the case is supposed to be completely waterproof, as well as including a new non-metallic body.
Which we kind of doubt.
Yeah, considering the 7000 series aluminum just came out.
Yeah. On to this week's news, Pubsters. So basically, Apple is set to target a 2019 launch date for the Apple Car. And there's some more news surrounding CarPlay and Android Auto.
Yeah.
You can take over that.
Yeah, it seems Porsche is aiming to go with, chose CarPlay over Android Auto for their 2017 911 Carrera because of the fact that Google apparently wants way too much information from them when using Android Auto. Some of those including vehicle speed, throttle position, as well as engine revs.
Yeah, and I see this being a big problem because, you know, if the government wants that info from Google, they'll find out when you've sped, all the times you've sped, and retroactively, like, give you tickets. Not that it'll happen, it's not a likely scenario, but it could happen.
Yeah, and the thing also is that people aren't sure, or Porsche didn't make any mention if this is just for their 911s that they're doing this with, because it's a high-end sports car. Maybe that's why they want this information. But it's not it's not announced in any way if every car that uses Android Auto takes this
Yeah,
information.
but knowing Google, they probably want to get their hands on as much data on their users. And comparatively, CarPlay only wants to know whether the car is accelerating or not, presumably for maps and GPS features.
And if the car's in motion or not, if there's some features turned on or off.
Yeah, which is an absolute minimum. So definitely Google took a big L on this one, and Apple is doing a victory dance.
One thing I was also thinking is it could be the fact that since Google is trying to come up with their own car as well, maybe they're just, I don't know what information they could use with this, but I could see them using information
if
for
it was
themselves
temporary
as well.
before they release their own self-driving cars, sure, but so far it doesn't seem like that. But some interesting other news unrelated to this, but there are more and more manufacturers saying they'll take full liability if their self-driving cars crash. So I'm really excited. I see this whole trend towards self-driving cars, and I see it in like 6 years, 7 years it'll be a thing. So really crossing
for the rich people first.
Rich people first, but I can't wait till I have an hour-and-a-half long commute to work, and I just want to be on my iPad while my car is just driving me. That would be heavenly.
I'm pretty sure within like 7 years, you won't be working at that same place.
Well, maybe, but even so, like you go somewhere, imagine you're just like getting work done while you're being driven to the location. That's so awesome. Anyway, my little rant, but I'm really looking forward to this technology and Apple Car, Google's car. Maybe not so much Google's because of all the data they probably take from you, but Apple I would definitely go for.
So also from last week's news, Microsoft did release their 2016 Office bundle, but they released it as a one-time purchase order instead of a subscription like Microsoft 360. But if you are going to be using this, do be aware that using OS X El Capitan, that there are a few bugs that have apparently popped up with Microsoft's Office bundle, including for PowerPoint, Word, Excel, Outlook, they all seem to be crashing here and there.
Yeah, and Microsoft has said there's a fix in the works, but in the meanwhile, know that if you buy it, you're not going to be able to use it fully because it's going to keep crashing on you.
Yeah, and also if you're using
2011
yeah,
Office.
2011 Outlook, you are gonna also experience some bugs on El Capitan. So, like Iman said, they are working on a fix. We don't know when that's gonna be released, so just know that if you are updating or upgrading, that you will experience some issues.
iBooks recently got enhanced versions of the Harry Potter book series, and I checked out some of the stuff they have, and it's pretty cool if you're a Harry Potter geek like me. And you. Yeah, but this is what books should be like in the future. There are animations, it shows you what the text is talking about. There are annotations from the author in the bottom of the page. And, well, brain fart there. But just a lot more like customized fonts that go with the theme of the book. Like Harry Potter will be more ghastly and Halloween-y kind of. So they added a lot of nice touches and images and interactivity that otherwise wouldn't exist in a traditional media format.
To me, honestly, it's kind of starting to become the original trilogy of Star Wars movies. There seems to be a new one released every time. Like first it was like I got all the books separately, and then there was like that, they came out with the case set of the books with like that treasure chest box and everything. And then all of a sudden it was like finally J.K. Rowling was like, okay, we're cool with digital format books. They released it on Amazon. I do have those for my Kindle. And now we have these new enhanced versions on iBooks.
Yeah.
So I wonder what's coming next.
Yeah, but I do want to say that I do think these enhanced books will be the normal book in the future. In textbooks and in
until
novels.
they can do it in something like e-ink. I really hate reading off of a backlit screen.
Yeah, that's your problem.
It hurts my eyes, especially at night. But I don't know. I would still choose a regular book and the Kindle.
Oh, I wouldn't.
Over anything.
Especially with textbooks, the stuff they've been doing with textbooks, with interactivity, it makes learning so much funner, but more easy to understand because you can manipulate and touch what you're learning about.
I can understand a textbook, but when I'm reading like a story.
Yeah, no. When I read Harry Potter, a lot of the stuff like was hard for me to imagine. Like a lot.
See, it's not for me though. I get like just lost in the text from reading.
I do too generally, but when it defines something entirely new, I need just a base animation to go off, and then my imagination can kick in. I don't know. That's how I am. But you're wrong. I'm right.
Oh,
obviously.
yeah. Okay.
And definitely check it out if you're interested in that.
Let us. You know what? Let's leave this to the audience. What do you guys think? What do you prefer? A regular textbook or a Kindle book that's almost like a regular textbook, or do you prefer something with like animations and a bunch of little extras, features, and stuff thrown in?
And I would ask if you are gonna vote, check out what they've done with the Harry Potter books first. There are videos of it, and imagine textbooks having that technology.
I'm not talking about school textbooks. I'm talking about a story.
Yeah, sure. So AT&T has finally flipped the switch on for their Wi-Fi calling capabilities.
About time.
One major gripe with it though is that even though you're using your own Wi-Fi, if you place a call long distance, you're still charged for that. I don't think the other carriers do that. I'm pretty sure.
I think they do.
They do?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that's it's just a thing. I think it's just the fact that AT&T lags so much with releasing Wi-Fi calling is the issue.
Well, the fact that you're using your own data on your own Wi-Fi, it's weird to me that they would charge based on who you're calling, but hey, it's AT&T. They want to make money, right?
It's phone companies. They want to make money.
Yeah, American phone companies. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the AT&T Wi-Fi calling. It's available. Go flip it on. We'll include an article below on how to do that.
Speaking of some carrier news, apparently Apple is finally releasing their iPhone 6s unlocked through their store online. One of my gripes on this is the fact that they're calling it a SIM-free phone, which I'm not exactly sure why they're doing that, considering there's talk about the new eSIM cards and everything coming out with SIM-free phones. So I think that's a bit confusing that they're making it that. Why not just call it is an unlocked phone for any brand carrier?
And then you have to go to a carrier and get your SIM card afterwards. I guess it comes without a SIM, so it's SIM-free technically, but I would save that term.
I don't know. It's a really poor term, and I think they're just trying to separate themselves out from like something like HTC, who's been announced. They've been giving out unlocked phones all the time. You can purchase it straight from them, and sometimes it's actually cheaper than what you would get from carriers.
But yeah, that's a thing now, and you can start buying unlocked phones from Apple now.
Which is great. You can buy it full price, not worrying about anything about paying the monthly extras for some of the phone carriers like T-Mobile. You can use it with any carrier. You can go across seas with it, and if you decide to sell the phone later, you don't have to worry about people having issues with what carrier they're going to be using it with.
Yeah, thank you for that information, Rafael. It was very informative.
Well, some people don't know.
So Apple's iPhone 6s comes with two different kinds of A9 chips. They're basically the same, but one is manufactured by TSMC and the other one's from Samsung. And there are minor differences in how they're designed, which do end up impacting battery life ever so slightly.
Yeah, there was some tests done earlier which they said that there's a difference between 6 to 22% battery life, up to 6 to 22% change in battery life. TSMC coming out on top over the Samsung models. But then, TechCrunch did their own thing and said if you're actually using this in real life situations and not just this one specific thing, it's more like 1 to 3% difference in battery life, so it shouldn't be noticeable to you guys out there.
Yeah, and some iPhone users confirmed it was only about a 1% difference, and Apple themselves came out and said it's only going to make about a 1 to 3% difference. So these tests, they're probably like torture tests that do one thing that's...
One specific task, I'm assuming. And they were testing out like the 4K video recording and some other things.
Yeah, so it shouldn't make that much of an impact. If you have a Samsung one, you're not going to notice a difference. But it is a small difference, and for some people it might be a huge deal.
Yeah, people are calling it the chip gate now.
Yeah.
So there has to be apparently a new gate
for every iPhone.
First it was antenna gate. What was it with the 4s?
Yeah.
Now we had Ben gate. Now we have chip gate.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the iPhone 7's gate, whatever that would be.
Yeah.
But this one's a joke. I wouldn't take Ben gate or this one. They're not that serious. Ben gate is more serious than this, though. I'd give him that. So yeah, that's a thing.
Yeah. So as we've talked about in the last few weeks about the 21.5-inch 4K iMac that's supposed to be coming out, Apple announced that they're planning to release the new iMac sometime next week.
Mm-hmm. And what I'm excited about isn't the iMac itself, but what might launch alongside with it. The Magic Mouse and the Magic Keyboard were mentioned. Yes, they were mentioned in the El Capitan Beta 10.11.1. So basically, they found new references to these new keyboards. There have been more and more rumors about the new keyboard and mouse, and a lot of people are speculating what might be updated with them. I'm in the market for a keyboard. Mine's broke because of a spillage. And
spillage.
Yeah, a spill of water. And people are speculating that it'll have Bluetooth 4.2.
Rechargeable batteries.
Yeah, rechargeable batteries are big. Oh, and it might have a... You know how there's a lightning
connector?
Yeah, like kind of like how the Apple Pencil has one. They're thinking it might be like you could plug in a lightning cord into it like you would into an iPhone, and you charge your keyboard that way. Mm-hmm. I think that's really cool, and I hope Apple does that. It might be backlit as well. It's going to be more energy efficient, obviously, with Bluetooth 4.2.
Yeah.
More secure, and Magic Mouse might come with a Force Touch, but kind of unlikely.
I think it would.
You think it would?
I think it would, definitely, because they're bringing it with their MacBooks and everything. I think it's something they're going to want to add to the OS compatibility for the iMac. Why not?
Yeah, I'm 50-50. But yeah, the desktops do need Force Touch somehow. I would think it would come with the trackpad, but we haven't heard anything about the trackpad, have we?
No.
No. So, and then there are a little bit more rumors on what might come, like a Touch ID and a Siri button, but those are really, like, off.
The reason people think it's going to be coming alongside with the iMac is because where else would you release this, really? I mean, standalone release, like what, out of nowhere in the blue, you're just going to be like, okay, here's a new keyboard and mouse.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's going to release with a new product, which would be the updated iMac.
And the fact that it's coming up in the code in the beta, that's the third public beta for 10.11.1. But also, if it doesn't come out next week, I am certain that it'll come out the first quarter of next year with the Skylake processors and the iMacs.
Big time, it would have to.
Yeah. Speaking of release dates, the iPad Pro is set to be launching in early November.
And also, it seems that Disney animators got their hands on the iPad Pro with the pencil and got to try it out. It seems they really liked it, and actually one of the department head, I think it was mentioning, like, we need to order a bunch of these. It was a video that's up on Periscope if you guys want to check it out. They seem to like it, and like I had mentioned before, I think the iPad Pro is going to be big with designers, artists, and stuff. I think that's what the main goal of this thing is for. And obviously, it seems like even the animators themselves are really loving it.
Even with enterprise, I think doctors and people who need something they could like sign documents off on quickly with a pencil or view large documents, a lot of documents going in and out every day. The iPad's too small for that. Like, you put an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper on it.
Well, considering a lot of things, legal documents are more, I think it's like by 15. They're not even by 11s. They're a lot longer.
Yeah, whatever.
So, I mean, they take
No, but yeah, we agree. I do think it's gonna be big with designers. I just think it'll be big with enterprise in general as well, businesses and stuff like that. But I'm really looking forward to that. It's gonna be really interesting seeing where it fits.
Speaking of the iPad Pro, Microsoft did also release their new Surface 4, which is going to be a really big, competition with the Pro because of the price range, the powerhouse that it has within it. It also comes with a new pencil as well.
Yeah.
Also, they did announce that Surface Book, which is quite the intriguing little monster of a device that they made. It's half laptop, half tablet. It's still yet to. I'm kind of hesitant to see how well it's going to work until we get a hands on until it comes out.
Yeah.
The one thing that was interesting to me, if any of you guys have seen it, there's a special hinge that it comes with. That's the only thing that bugs me is I would want to wait to see how that turns out, if it's going to cause any issues, because it seems like it's a little bit of a complicated hinge. Mm-hmm. I can see that breaking in with some use or something like that, because it's like it's untested tech, it's new, so I would hold off. But I have to say it did catch my eye with the amount of power capabilities that it came with. It's something that I would actually be interested in as like a laptop replacement.
As I've said, Microsoft under their new CEO, they've been doing much better. They finally got Office apps on iPads and iOS, which is a big deal in itself. They're doing things with tablets and innovating, and I like that. It's putting a fire under Apple. It's getting them to do things like the iPad Pro, and now it's just like the race is beginning. Now they're gonna keep one-upping each other. So
yeah. This one I think is a start for people who don't have a tablet but want a tablet but still want a laptop. It's a pretty interesting combination. It's like it starts off as a laptop with a full GPU from NVIDIA and everything, and then when you
costs a lot though.
It does cost a lot, but you are buying it's a desktop laptop. That is what you're getting. And then when you disconnect it, it becomes a tablet.
Yeah.
But it's a high-end laptop. Imagine getting like the MacBook Pros 15-inch integrated graphics and everything, from NVIDIA and everything. So you're getting a powerhouse of a computer, and then it disconnects and becomes a tablet for when you need it.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, guys, check it out. I mean, it's not Apple, but it's still interesting and relates to Apple. You could predict what Apple might do in response to these things.
I'm not so sure they're going to come out with something like that.
Oh, they won't. But they're going to do things to kind of, like multitasking. Like, that's a big thing Surface had for so long, and they implemented it in their own Apple-like way. So there's always something that tells you, if Microsoft's a big winner with one feature, Apple's not going to leave it out, most likely.
They're going to have to try to come up with something unique to, combat and bring people back to them.
Exactly.
All right, for you coffee aficionados out there, apparently Starbucks as well as
KFC and Chili's
are coming out with Apple Pay compatibility in 2016. So Starbucks already had a few features out there for you guys that were interesting. I don't know if you've seen them at your local Starbucks. They had some inductive chargers that you could plug into your iPhones, as well as just on the table for anyone who has inductive charging, like for Android users. So, I mean, this is a new step. Again, they're trying to, pull in new customers and more customers. Like, oh, come with us, come hang out. Like you guys already do, sitting around at Starbucks doing your homework and
with
everything.
all your MacBooks.
Yeah,
lovely people. So look out for that. The 2016 is going to be a good year for Apple Pay. Finally, we come to some news regarding some acquisitions Apple has made with a few companies and what it means for the iPhone 7 and a few other products coming out in the future. One of the acquisitions was for Perceptio.
And the other one being Vocal IQ.
Yeah, now Perceptio is basically AI, artificial intelligence technology, and the main the headlining feature about this is that it relies on minimal user data in order to perform the tasks we need day to day.
Yeah, so there's not a lot being sent out over the air to Apple or anything like that, so it's kind of safer for the end user.
Yeah, and Apple has had limitations with not being able to do what Google does. Google, it's easy for them to know what you want and what your preferences are because they know everything about you, whereas Apple doesn't want that data and wants to respect your privacy. So this is big for them and Siri in particular.
Yeah, so I think this is going to mostly aim for being able to do a lot of the information within the phone itself. understanding what you're trying to look for, you know, and just kind of skim through everything without having to send all this huge amounts of data saved up, like you were saying.
Yeah.
So the other one would be Vocal IQ, which is more of a service that's going to be able to better understand you naturally speaking to Siri. So instead of having to have specific terms or statements that you're making, you can just talk to Siri as like a normal human being, and it'll just understand you.
Yeah, and I think Siri has done a pretty good job of that so far. But it would be nice if I could treat it like literally my assistant, and I just tell him.
I think one of the big reasons for this is they're trying to combat against the tech that Amazon's using with their Echo.
Oh, okay.
So I think this is just instead of having like to be better, because considering they're bringing Siri to the Apple TV, I'm pretty sure Apple Watch, HomeKit, everything coming out, they want it to be better, like to kind of I think compete with that in-home device.
And Siri, oh man, it's gonna be so huge in the next 3 to 5 years. Like it's gonna be so central to our lives, and I like the fact that they're bolstering their systems and they're getting ready for it.
Yeah, and along with this, considering Apple also acquired the Linux technology for their DSLR quality camera, phones for their cameras, for their for mobile devices. I'm pretty sure all this is going to be packed together when we see the iPhone 7 coming out next year. So it's going to be, these are some pretty interesting topics that are going to be adding on.
Just a heads up, Apple bought the Touch ID technology company a year before the 5S came out. Exactly, it's actually right when the 5 came out, information leaked that they bought a fingerprint sensor company, and it came out a year later. So generally, I look at these and I think, oh, it'll take them about a year to implement that technology. So I expect 2 out of 3 of these companies' technologies to be.
I definitely expect that the Linux stuff will be coming up, because that was announced sometime in like April or March this year. So I would have to assume that they're really going to want to go push with their cameras for next year.
And that's going to be a big boost in the quality of the images you take. We're not talking about like a minor update. This is going to be a huge difference.
Yeah, so do look forward to those things. And again, thank you for joining us here on the Apple Pub. It was really nice to see you guys again. As always, please let us know what you guys think, what you guys want us to cover. We do, take that into account if there's anything specific you want us to look after.
Yeah, and question of the day is, which of those 3 technologies do you want to see coming to the iPhone first?
Yeah. So again, please subscribe to help out the channel, like the video if you liked it, and we'll catch you again next time.
Take care, Pubsters.
And stay classy.